effort in every single aspect of it, even the most minimal details, including the spikes and the glow. This spike deco I'm making is relatively simple to do. In fact, it only took me about 1 minute to get it done. I just used some fading lines with high brightness and low saturation value, alongside with some spike overlap and a lot of color variation. Putting more effort on spikes is actually a quite simple task, and I'm sure it's gonna do some improvements to your deco. Okay, now let's go to the part in which I struggle the most, making the details. Oh my god, this is absolutely the worst, but still the most important part of a block design creating process. A beginner though doesn't really think too much about that. For them, they can just throw anything into their blocks and it's gonna look good anyways. So what I see most beginners doing is using connectors inside their block. After all, for a beginner, no other details exist, am I right? So if I were a beginner and I came across this block, I would just do this and the details of the block would be finished beautiful. Unfortunately, I don't have all of this benefit. The benefit of thinking that anything looks good. I've lost that thing a long while ago. Now, things gotta be way better in order to please me. Therefore, I have to make actual good details on my blocks. The first thing I'm gonna tell you is, you're not gonna be able to make good details on your blocks at first. Making good details, seeing what fits or not, and avoiding repetitiveness are skills that you develop over time. You can't just open your game and make something that looks like this in your first, second, or even your 10th attempt. Making good stuff takes time, so please try to enjoy your building process. Try to actually like everything you do, even if it doesn't look good. Don't be sad for making a bad block. Be happy for at least doing one, you know? Otherwise, you're just gonna end up having no motivation at all. Having high standards while not being able to create anything that pleases you is a horrible thing, in which I, unfortunately, had to go through, and I don't want anyone to suffer with that just as I did. However, I'm gonna try to give you some good advice about making details for your block. In general, try to make something that fits to your structure the most. Try your best to make the most coherent stuff that you can. But also try not to have the need of filling each grid of the block with some detail that can and will make the block feel unnatural and weird. Try to make the bigger details on your block less bright while doing the smaller details brighter. But also don't follow this rule strictly, you know. Just use it as a minor base for your design. And for the last, try to have fun. You know, it is just a game after all, and if you're feeling burnt out with it, go out, take some water, take some time to rest, and then you can go back to work and do some cool stuff. Now the details of the block are pretty much done, and the last thing we gotta make is the 3D. Okay, so I gotta say that I've seen many atrocities in my life when it comes to making 3D. This is how a beginner would do the 3D on their block. As you can see here, not only the 3D is wrong, it also looks effortless. Now, if you're a beginner who's having problems related to making 3D right, I'm gonna just put this image right here on the screen. Whenever you have questions about the 3D, just look at this image so you can see what's the right way to make the 3D on your block. Well, for my 3Ds, I personally like to put some extra effort on them. And since we're already here, let's try to make this 3D in another perspective other than that one that's used the most. I personally like to make a lot of outline. I like to make some black ones and as well as some colorful ones. And just to finish it, I'm gonna put some glow here since I think this part of the block's needing some extra details. Okay, so personally, I know that I could make a much better block if I really tried, but I'm still quite happy with this design. I hope this video anyhow helped you and that you could learn something from it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have you ever tried getting into the GT editor, starting to create a level, and then when you finished it, it looked like this? Well, if it's happened to you, don't worry, it actually happens to everyone, believe it or not. No one starts out and I'm gonna do that by creating a level myself. So let's get right into it. In order to make a good level, the first thing you have to do is to